Hello everyone, Miles here again from the team at Iconic Events. I'm joined today by Andrea Lewis, who is speaking this November at the Stepping into Leadership Day of the Design Leaders Conference. That's the 11th of November here in London. If you haven't heard about it, checked it out. When you're viewing this video, there's going to be a link. Go check it out. It's full of amazing content, including the awesome Andrea, who I'm going to just dive straight into with and ask to please give us a little bit of an introduction to yourself, your current role, and then we'll talk a little bit about kind of, if you can, how you got into this position. What's your trajectory in that career?
Fantastic. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Lewis, and I've been in the UX field for double digits, 20 years plus, maybe over, really since the field took off. And currently, I'm working as the Director of User Experience at GoodHabitz. We are an e-learning edtech scale-up in the Netherlands. So we have a footprint definitely in the Netherlands, but we're slowly moving across Europe. We're even in Australia and parts of South America. So heading for global representation, but still on our way there. And I've been at UK government, quite a few large e-commerce brands, FMCG. I've seen UX, user research and design done in many environments. So I'm really looking forward to sharing some of that experience, pain, joy with all of you.
Very excited to welcome you. So, I mean, you come from an academic background, right? Like that's how you got into this space. I'd love to understand, for people who are perhaps stepping into this industry from academia, how do you feel that set you up in your career so far?
Yes, so I probably would have, if I continued with my career, would have ended up in psychology or some sort of PhD type field. So a strong understanding of research principles and research methods and approaches for publication, for maybe changing society or changing patient behavior in some way. It was actually quite clinical in my early days of study. But I was also a child of the internet and the dot-com boom. So that was part of my emerging into the workspace and seeing this new tool. And then, of course, phones become a part of our lives, a seamless part of our lives, and always a computer nerd. So those two worlds together made UX and user experience the perfect field for me. It was hard to avoid because I had a natural affinity to creating websites at the start. And then once we started being very thoughtful about the web products and digital products that we created, it just becomes a passion space for me. Like, it's a natural interest there. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, and along that journey, are there some sort of big influences, be it in literature or across your career, that you think have helped shape the way that you approach design now?
Yeah, 100% that's working for the UK government and learning under the brilliant minds that work as part of government digital services, so GDS. I've seen the work that gov.uk do and many of the services that the UK government has supported and funded get copied and emulated across other governments, get copied and emulated by big business. I think they had a few things that they did right, always challenging, but there was a reason I spent the bulk of my career working there and really honing my craft in UX. So you can hear I have an American accent. I absolutely did go to school and grow up in the States, but the heart of my digital career and some of the most amazing challenges I've encountered were working within the UK and specifically the UK government, which I absolutely love and respect.
Well, as a British person, I thank you for all your work over the years. And now that you're working at GoodHabitz, tell us a little bit about what that looks like in terms of some of the sort of projects you're able to work on, perhaps at that sort of high level.
Yeah, so GoodHabitz is a new brand, a challenger brand. It's perhaps a brand many people haven't heard of. And really, since my early .com days, where everything was new, I haven't worked for any sort of startup or scale up. I actually wrote them off super early in my career once I'd worked at a few, and started working with giant brands or government brands that wanted to transform or become digital. But with Good Habits, I have such a moment for impact now that digital has evolved, now that UX is embedded, now that we have software as a service, now that we've matured as an industry together, when digital or having a website or a web product or an app is not an option but the default, I really thought, well, all the exciting work is happening within startups. And indeed, that's what Good Habits is right now. Um, I work closely with the C-level. I have a fantastic team that I get to craft in terms of UX, and I get broad remit over the experience and really amazing partners, because Good Habits actually creates its own content. So they are also a media company as well. So we have a studios section where we have people working on Avid or Final Cut Pro and filming and writing stories as part of my peers. And it reminds me of my early days working for Viacom, MTV, and seeing, as I was working in the web side of things, people who worked on the TV side of things. It's very, very familiar. So yeah, it's just dynamic in terms of what media can be.
That's awesome. Yeah, an opportunity to have a much greater impact, I imagine, right? Like, I think that's very exciting. So, but you're going to be joining us in November, and thanks for giving us a bit about your background. I'd love to talk a bit about what you're going to be talking about. We'll start with this provocative title of "Product Killed the UX Star." Why don't you start us off by telling us, what's that about and what has inspired this topic?
Yeah, well, my own career has inspired this topic, and seeing how my career has changed, my title and roles have changed in what is my career ecosystem and industry. So when I started in UX, of course, no one knew what UX meant or what user experience means. And even today, when UX people talk about UX, we're challenged that people still don't understand it. But along came this fantastic little darling named product. And people seem to get that a lot more than they get UX. So that is the question I want to pose to those who choose to attend my talk. Did product kill the UX star? Is product UX? Is product something else? Do UX people belong in product? Are we a part of product? Are we product people? Are we product design, UX design? I know there have been many talks, conversations, and blogs about this topic. I'm not the first to broach it, but I'll share some of my own experiences in navigating this world, maintaining my relevance. And before I started at Good Habits, the CTPO who hired me gave me the chance to pick my own title. I could have chosen head of product design or something else, but I went back to my roots. And I absolutely believe that what I do is user experience. I'd love for people to understand why that's such a purist field, and how I sit adjacent and can augment conversations and products, but also elsewhere in the business. So yeah.
Really exciting topic, and it's obviously so current, right? And this was going to be my next question, actually, was like, why is it relevant for the current state of UX? But I think you've covered that, right? It's like we're at this nexus of like people not really knowing, like all these titles are seemingly interchangeable now. So very excited to hear more about this. For people who are thinking about this talk and this topic, you mentioned some of the kind of high level. Are there any sort of sneak peeks you might want to offer people into kind of your experience and how that's translated into this talk?
So I think if you are a UX person, and note that in my own career, I have a strong lean to UX research. I oversee design as well, but some of my own hands-on skills are most powerful in UX research. I've held UX research director level roles in previous companies. I'd like to talk about why and how we can take a stronger seat at the table, and if that seat at the table is in the design chair or indeed the product chair, and how we might embrace that a bit more. And so I hope to have very practical suggestions for the mind switch, attitude switch, performance switch that some of us may need to make if indeed we are too close to design or really close to research, what it is that we might be missing in our toolbox as leaders to really give us a strong voice at the table that is welcomed and not sidelined or told, actually, we want to keep the room small, so let's have UX just wait a little bit, or have design or research just wait a little bit because product is sitting at that table.
Yeah, it's such an important topic. And my last question really about the talk and subject matter is it's taking place at the Design Leaders Conference, people who are stepping into leadership or, scaling their leadership experience. If you were to kind of pitch this talk at someone, who do you think needs to be in the room to hear this?
Yeah, I think it really first are people who are aspiring within the UX field to get to that next level of leadership. So you are a senior individual contributor in either research or design. You're probably managing team members now. You're thinking more about leading and moving into a more strategic role overall, where management is just a part of it. But now you are being asked to have strategic influence. And what does that really mean? So if you are questioning any of those things, trying to hone such skills, please do come and take part in this conversation. Also, if you are already in those roles, but struggling, challenged, grappling, frustrated, then a lot of what I've said already should resonate. So maybe some of my tips might be new to you. Maybe some of my hard-learned lessons will be familiar, or maybe show you a different way of handling it. So I think anyone who's in UX leadership or aspiring to be a UX leader, be it on the research side, design side, or overseeing both, is very welcome to sit in the front row. But also product people who maybe want to be friendly with UX or understand them more if they come from a non-design or research background themselves. You're welcome to.
Amazing. Thank you very much for giving us all that rich insight into your talk. I have another section to this interview, which is more generally looking at the future of our industry, and also to learn a little bit more about you and your, what makes you tick. So I want to start with a bit about the industry, and obviously there are, we're at the advent of AI, other such emerging technologies. Design is evolving, all the time. What excites you the most about the future of the craft of UX and product design?
Well, there's a few things. Sorry. So what excites me most? There are a few things. I know AI can be used as a part of the product itself. So I maybe want to step aside and think, how do we use AI within our own work? I think that there are so many opportunities there, even beyond the tools for UX where AI is embedded, but something even more powerful where we use AI to do our jobs better. I think that this is the most clever thing that we can do, harness the tool for our own productivity, for our own efficiency.
Yeah, definitely. It's there. We've got to make it our ally, right? And,
Yes.
and those low expertise tasks, that we need to we can focus
on our work, to confirm our work. I think we shouldn't miss the beat of being able to do that.
100%. And we talked about AI, of course. Are there any trends you're seeing in the industry? And obviously, one being titles and what product versus UX. But any other trends that kind of spring to mind when you think about the shaping of the future of this space?
I think we're getting better at KPIs, ROI, OKRs, measures to show the value of what we do. I think slowly but surely we're finding our path. So if you haven't figured that out, I would take a look around at your peers, because those of us who are still in leadership positions are now really harnessing that power of knowing how we demonstrate our value, not only in showing a design or showing insights, but really showing the impact we can have on business in practical ways that are measurable.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the sort of the way that you work and the way that you tend to work in design and research, are there any standout tools or softwares that you think would help people listening to you today to explore?
Standout tools or software. There are a few of my go-to tools. We use the user testing platform, which is now user testing user Zoom. It's massive. It's perhaps really unavoidable if you're in this space. And the number one reason I use it is for speed to participants. So how quickly we can get research done, get insights for our designers. And so we take out this limitation of research taking too long. Of course, we use other methods to get research done and to get insights and to validate our designs. But I think a platform where you have research users and participants globally at the tip of your fingers is so critical. And of course, Figma, the current darling. I think without Figma and the user testing platform, user Zoom platform, we'd be absolutely lost. We're currently teaching others in our organization how to use Figma, so we're democratizing Figma across quite a few of the graphic and creative people across GoodHabitz, which I think is quite powerful. And they're finding ways to use it that are not for UI purposes. So I think this is really amazing. So those are my two top tools.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, I can only speak for I don't use the full Figma suite, but like FigJam is just, even that for whiteboarding and collaboration is great. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already, if you're listening in. My last couple of questions I want to put to you are more about you. So when you're not designing, but when you're looking for inspiration, how do you keep your creative juices flowing, be it in design and outside?
Yeah. Something artistic. So right now I'm doing lots of ceramics and pottery, something quite tactile with my hands and making art in that way. And whenever I get stuck, I go to a museum or an art show. Just like that, it'll unblock me. I immerse myself with creative people or artists because of the nonlinear way in which they think. So it usually sparks something new in the way that I'm thinking.
And you're based in the Netherlands, and Amsterdam has got a myriad of amazing museums. If you're listening and want to check out Amsterdam, it's incredible. Van Gogh Museum is my favorite by far.
Yeah.
And talking to people who are, maybe specifically for your talk, aspiring leaders, right? What advice would you give to them based on your own career?
Yes. It's challenging. At times you may question if it's rewarding and if you are better off being hands-on where you have complete control of your output. But without leadership, we will never be entrenched as a core discipline with a voice. So we're still in the early days of what we do and making a clear place in organizations of any size. So for that reason alone, if you really do have a passion for this work, yes, it's challenging. Yes, it can be frustrating at times and exhausting, but it's absolutely worth it in the end to hone that influence and become more influential in product design and service design.
That's some great advice. My last two questions are just a bit of fun. You already mentioned you are an avid potter. Is that what you call it? Pottery master? I don't know. But tell us a fun fact about you that people might not know.
Fun fact, I like to write terrible, I'm unsure of their quality poetry in my very safe and quiet place. It's something I do almost automatically. A poem will appear in my mind and must emerge on paper from my fingertips. So that's my biggest secret.
I absolutely love that. You're a creative through and through, right? Well, there's a great icebreaker. If you want to go and approach Andrea, go and have a chat about poetry. What's on the brain?
Fortunately, I have a few in my head, so you might hear me recite one for you. So be prepared.
That's great. That's what it's all about, the networking part. And if you weren't in user research, product, UX design, leadership, where do you think your career might have taken you?
My secret dream is to have been writing TV shows, screenplays, movies. So taking poetry into writing plays. So I'm definitely a playwright, not so much a novelist. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, maybe we'll be seeing one of your plays in the future.
different life, I think.
Andrea, it's been such a pleasure to chat to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. If anyone listening in, it's November the 11th, Design Leaders Plus Conference. You can hear from Andrea and lots of other amazing speakers talking about the strategic and soft skills that make for an incredible leader. So yeah, we'll see you very soon, Andrea. Looking forward to your presentation. And yeah, thanks once again.
Thank you.